Coming up on today's show, we are reacting to the latest USA Today mock draft. And I'm going to try to be nice. Just to be blunt, there are some elements I don't understand with this mock draft, ignoring some name misspellings, and the lack of explanations given for the picks, which I find kind of lame. If you want more NFL draft videos with in-depth analysis, then type me in the comments section of today's show. I take no responsibility for the draft order. I am not in charge of it. The latest USA Today mock draft, though, had Caleb Downs going number 1 overall. And I am a huge fan of Caleb Downs. A safety has never gone number 1. It's never happened. Highest they've gone kind of was number 2. Eric Turner kind of played some both. DBs and safeties don't go that high. They rarely crack the top 10, let alone the top 5. Great player, but number 1 just kind of feels unlikely. Number 2, Dennis-Sutton. And I'll be blunt, I just don't think he's there yet as a prospect. These are all projection-based. It's fine. I get it. I don't see number 2 pick. I don't think this guy is better than Abdul Carter. I don't think he's the same level of prospect as Micah Parsons, even if Micah wasn't playing much edge. Want to put him back in round 1? Sure. I think number 2 is projecting such a level of growth that I don't think is fair right now. Plus, the Jets spent 2 first-round picks on edges in Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald in recent years. I don't know if they want to spend a third. The one bit of write-up the USA Today article did was they pretty much just decided to put Arch Manning to the Saints. Because if you're the Browns and Jets and Arch Manning goes pro and he's worth being the number 3 pick, well, then he's going to go number 1 or number 2. And your quarterback play wasn't good to stop you from being the top 2 pick. It's fun, though, for Arch to go to the Saints, just like his granddad played for him. Those jerseys would sell a record amount overnight. But I'm also not convinced that Arch Manning ends up turning pro. I think there is a more likely chance in which he goes back to school and kind of like Andrew Luck's his way through it all. And could have been number 1 overall pick, goes back to school, and we spend the entire year having him as the greatest prospect since Andrew Luck. That would not be a surprise to me. So, do you think Arch Manning turns pro? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote the pinned comment of today's show. I do like this pick for the Titans. Rueben Bain out of Miami, who was a bit banged up last year, but played well, really well in the year before that. Tennessee needs edge help. I think that's a flawless fit. Francis Mauigoa out of Miami to the Giants to potentially be their long-term right tackle option. Both he and the number 6 picks, Caden Proctor here, going to the Panthers. You're banking on some development and growth, but those are reasonable bets with where we sit in the summer scouting phase. If Carolina goes tackle, though, I assume this means they're pretty much done with the Ike Ekwonu experiment. The Colts take Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. Don't worry, I spelled this one right for you, USA Today, since you didn't in the article. I don't get it. I think Tyson as receiver 1, sure. He'd be more of a household name if we didn't get to benefit from, or if he was able to benefit from the CFP he didn't play against Texas. He and Sam Level will put up big numbers. I get him being receiver 1. The Colts have paid Michael Pittman. They have Josh Downs as a good slot receiver. They drafted A.D. Mitchell in round 2. I get Alec Pierce is going to be a second-round pick, but I don't think receiver is a top 10 need for them. If anything, if they're picking 7, that means the quarterback stuff failed, and they probably got to go get a new one. I'm a big fan of Peter Woods, and I know producer Chris, you certainly are as well. I think he's going to have a massive year for Clemson. The Browns, though, at 8, when they just drafted Mason Graham in round 1, I don't know if that's the path this team would go. First-round picks at safety and defensive tackle is maybe not the best uses of a pair of top 10 draft assets there. This pick, by the way, is from the Jags, part of the Travis Hunter trade. I don't hate putting the other, quote-unquote, Utah tackle at number 9 overall. That is Caleb Lamu. We'll get to the other Utah tackle later on in today's show. DJ Glaze, third-round pick. We'll see if he's good enough for the Raiders. There is the CL Hive, I'll call it, out there for Utah. I don't hate it. Jeremiah Love at 10. I think Jeremiah Love is going to be awesome. I think if he could stay healthy for an entire year, we saw how good he could be in the CFP. He is an explosive athlete. But the Rams are trying to pay Kyren Williams. We'll see if they do. If they don't, they've spent a third-round pick on Blake Corum and a fourth-round pick on Jarquez Hunter. I don't know if the Rams going running back at number 10 is the most likely outcome. Today's show is made possible by Ethos. As a father of one and a second one on the way, trust me when I say life insurance matters. It's not fun to think about what would happen if something happened to you, but you need to be prepared. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. They're a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry, and it's more affordable than you might think. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy. You protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. No medical exam is required. You just answer a few health questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage for them. So protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. That link is in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Antonio Williams to the Arizona Cardinals. I don't mind this one. I would wonder if just like a pure X, with I think Williams being a bit more flexible, is a better fit to help maximize the Marvin Harrison Jr. talents. But Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Zay Jones doesn't really move the needle that much as a secondary batch of pass-catching options behind Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. TJ Parker out of Clemson, I would shoot. If you were going to put the Jets edge at 2, I think you can make an argument that Parker is the best edge in this class as we sit right now in July. So it's great value there for the Cowboys. They've spent second-round picks, though, on Marshawn Kneeland, on Devin Ezeraku. Unless for some reason they're not going to pay Micah, I don't think another top 55 pick on an edge is actually good draft capital investment. This is going to be a very popular mock draft pick as long as Jermod McCoy gets healthy again. That is the Tennessee corner to the Miami Dolphins. Obvious need. Generally viewed as the number 1 corner, if healthy. That's a very, very popular one. The first of actually a lot of inside linebackers off the board, C.J. Allen out of Georgia to the Patriots. I think inside linebacker, I know they signed Robert Spillane. They added Christian Ellis over the years, Jack Gibbons. I think it's a possible need for the Patriots. I think he actually would be a pretty good fit for Mike Vrabel. I think you can make an argument Allen actually is the best off-ball linebacker over Anthony Hill this year, but it's a little bit rich. Seattle takes Colorado corner, DJ McKinney. I can understand some of the round 1 buzz for McKinney. I think it's a little bit rich right now. We'll see how this year goes. It'll be a very different life for him without Travis Hunter. Getting another corner in general makes sense for Seattle, though, so I can understand it. Keldrick Falk at 16 to the Bears is an elite pick. Dale Odenigbo's there, paid Montez Sweat. They need one more edge rusher. Falk is a very gifted athlete, and I think there is a scenario in which he is a locked top 10 pick when we get to the actual draft in April. Houston goes back to the offensive line. Well, I feel like it's just going to be insert best available offensive lineman for a lot of mock draft picks here. Although, I'm curious how they play it out with Ariante Ursary, who goes to the right side with Spencer Fano. I think he can do both. He could be the first tackle taken. There's a scenario that the Utah guys are the first 2 tackles taken in this year's draft. Maybe not the most likely scenario, but it is possible. Lenore Sellers at 18. So here's my issue. The Sellers in round 1, no complaints. The upside is immense. It's very intriguing. I get all of that. If the Vikings finish at pick 18 and McCarthy's healthy, it means they were good enough to almost / kind of be a playoff team. They were right there in the conversation, right on the edge, the precipice of it all, didn't quite get in. So you're going to bail on the second-year starter QB already? That doesn't make sense to me. Now, if Minnesota was at 8, I guess, but I would be very surprised, unless it is an utter disaster from J.J. McCarthy, that the Vikings go take the raw prospect in round 1 at quarterback. I don't really get that one. Cade Klubnik at number 19. Pittsburgh, made the playoffs this scenario, barely, but they don't have a franchise QB. If Klubnik's there at 19, that one actually does make sense. Where the quarterbacks go, of course, is a big-time question mark. Who is the first quarterback taken? Also a real question. Who will it be? By the way, no more quarterbacks taken in this mock draft. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I'm going to apologize in advance for this one, Producer Chris. I know you're our Bama guy. I don't think Deontay Lawson is a round one player right now. I get extremely concerned when this is the third year we're mentioning you as hey, this guy could be an early pick. Like, that normally means, hey, some stuff happened that wasn't ideal for you. And injury is a big part of that for Deontay Lawson. I like him. I think he's definitely going to be a semi-early draft pick, but maybe this is more like in the Christian Harris range, speaking of former Bama linebackers, than, the Rolando McClain, still kind of early for him, range in round one. Denver did pay Dre Greenlaw. We'll see about Drew Sanders staying healthy, Alex Singleton. Don't love the fit necessarily either. I do consider myself a fan of Caleb Banks, the Florida defensive lineman, so I like the fact that he went in round one. I just don't know if to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers makes that much sense. Vita Vea is not going to go anywhere. They spent a first-round pick on Kalijah Kancey. I know Logan Hall's near the end of his deal, but I don't know if they have to spend another top 50 pick on a defensive lineman. That seems a bit excessive to me. Dylan Thieneman, I think the number 2 safety by a pretty good margin in this year's draft out of Oregon, transferring from Purdue. I would wonder if straight up corner is a bigger need for the Chargers, but Jalen Ramsey's aging, Louis Gilman's getting a little bit up there in age. They did pay Elijah Molden though. I consider myself a sneaky fan of Will Lee, the A&M corner, who I don't think is a big time household name. Packers need corner help. If you're going to take some gambles on corner, round one is a good time to do it. Chris, I know you like this one, Damani Jackson, who I do think is underrated. From a draft perspective, kind of got lost in the shuffle transferring from USC to Bama from that perspective, but played very well for the Crimson Tide last year. Rams certainly need corner help, so I do like that pick. I would argue that Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard from Oregon, is the wrong Oregon offensive lineman who transferred to go in this round one mock draft. I think Isaiah World, transferred from Nevada, has higher upside, maybe fills a bigger need for San Francisco as well. I'm down to put Mateo Uiagalelei in round one mock drafts. It's based on projection. That's fine. He's not quite fully there yet, but the flashes are so tantalizing. I just think unless the Bengals completely botch the Trey Hendrickson's scenario, 3 first-round picks at defensive end in 4 years is probably bad asset management. That'd be Myles Murphy, the first-round pick in 23. They obviously they took Amarius Mims in 24. Then Shamar Stewart, then Uiagalelei. And those are all raw developmental edges. Don't do it a third time. Now, we will have plenty of NFL draft videos for you here on Chat Sports. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now. Anthony Hill, the Texas linebacker. I think at times he's not quite like the sum of his parts. I want to see better coverage stuff from him at times. I think there are moments where if he doesn't see it right, he can not be in the right spot. I see him around the ball a lot, and that's normally a good sign at linebacker. And I think what he is able to do in kind of the same mold as a Frankie Laveau, he can blitz and he can cover, he can go chase down the ball, actually makes him a great fit under Dan Quinn. Jaden Roberts, as we kind of fall into the old habit of who do I put in here? Bama guy in round one. Freaky physical power from Jaden Roberts. And history does tell us the Ravens love drafting SEC players at the back end of round one. They love doing that. This would probably mean you're moving on from Daniel Falele at the right guard spot. Sonny Styles, the linebacker from Ohio State, who I do like putting in round one. I just think that 4 off-ball linebackers in a class that I think is kind of shaky overall is maybe not the path I would go down. Him and Jack Campbell, though, could form a really intriguing duo long-term since I don't think they're going to bring back Alex Anzalone. Denzel Boston, Washington wide receiver to Buffalo there. maybe a little bit. I guess you can move on from Joshua Palmer, Keon Coleman, Denzel Boston, Khalil Shakir. That could be a really fun trio. I don't mind Mansour Delane being on here. That is the Virginia Tech transfer to LSU. I think he's really good. I was also a big fan of Dorian Strong coming out of Virginia Tech, too. I think Delane could have a big-time year for the Tigers. We'll see what happens with Trent McDuffie. I think they get that deal done, but there's some uncertainty at other corner spots for KC. Finally, the Godfather, Dante Corleone, who has to stay healthy, has to have a productive season to justify this round one projection, but there is talent there. It's kind of getting himself back to the best version of himself. If Moro Ojomo does not break out, I do think going back to the trenches would be an unsurprising pick by Philadelphia. So grade this mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Couple of players I want to mention not included. Both Drew Aller and Garrett Nussmeier and Fernando Mendoza, but, the quarterback stuff is always uncertain. I'll mention Carnell Tate. I think the wide receiver class in general is wide open. Mekhi Lemon at a USC. You could have a Price, someone emerges. I know there's some fans of like Eugene Wilson down in Florida, but you got to see him do it for an entire year. Austin Barber is a good Florida offensive lineman. Isaiah World has an outside shot of being the first tackle taken, frankly. I think Christian Miller shouldn't be overlooked at Georgia. LT Overton, I think has a chance to be the first Bama player taken. I don't know if he does, but I think he's got a chance for it. Whit Weeks at LSU, I would put over Deontay Lawson. Sorry, Chris, again. Avion Terrell, A.J. Terrell's brother out of Clemson, I think is a potential top cornerback option. I also think Jalen Kilgore is a pretty good player, too, from South Carolina.